Wow. Back when I built my concrete workbench, I had every intention of filling some of these drawers with hardware. But this is a disaster. So to solve that disaster, I made these little wooden boxes that go in the drawer. They're removable, so I can take them to where I'm working, and they're all sized on a common increment, so they fit regardless how I arrange them. So that in itself is nothing new, but most of the time with boxes in a drawer like this, if you take one of them out to go use it, and then you slam the drawer, you can expect all the boxes in front of the one you removed to have slid back, and then you have to try to pull those back and make room for it again. These don't do that. The boxes just stay put. This is made possible thanks to a Lego-inspired grid in the bottom of the drawer and a corresponding set of grooves in the bottom of each box. You can retrofit any drawer with this system, so let me show you how. So these are all of the sides for one drawer worth of boxes. Basically the height is just the depth of the drawer minus 3/8 inch, and the length just needs to be divisible by the grid size. The corners of all of these boxes will be joined with box joints, but before I get to that, I want to cut some grooves around the inside of them. Obviously these are going to be kind of difficult to get out of here when they're out in the middle. Hopefully I'll be able to get them like this. The whole box, not just one side. Now I'm ready to cut the box joints on all the pieces. There are a variety of jigs out there that would do this, but my favorite jig is none. Alright, just clamp them all together into a block, and then I can just run them along my incremental fence. Move it over a 1/2 inch for each one since I'm using a 1/4 inch joint. Simple. So now I just need to flip this over, end for end, and move the fence over to right there. And now that will form 5 fingers on the other end. If you're doing it by this method, I highly recommend you run a test cut and make sure you get your stack width right, because once you do that, it's pretty hard to put that back how it was. I hope these fit now. I honestly could not ask for a better fit than that. So I got all the 3 inchers done as well, but I screwed up the video on those. So here's how they go together. Now, what about the 9 inchers? Because I only have 2 of them, so I can't really stack them up and run them like I did the others. All you need is a block with a square end. You could clamp it onto the block if you wanted to, but it's not even necessary. When you go to glue up a box joint, if you just think about the geometry a little bit, you'll realize where you need to put glue. The top of each finger on this piece touches the bottom of each finger on this piece, and vice versa. So the only place you need to put glue is on the top of the fingers on this piece and the top of the fingers on this piece. And that will give you glue on the top and bottom of each finger on both pieces. So with that information, all you need to do in order to glue up a box joint is apply glue to the top and then come back and just rub that. And that has put glue everywhere where it needs to be for a complete glue coverage on the box joint. Now just check and be sure you're square, and you're done. Let's find some bottoms for the boxes. Got to be careful and make sure I get the ribbed grip toward the top. So the boxes are all done, and I could very well just leave it at this, but like I mentioned earlier, if you take one out, then all the ones in front of it shift back. Now, that's not a big deal at all, but it's just something I'd rather not deal with, and the solution is pretty easy. So I'm going to go ahead and make the grid. I need a piece of 1/8 inch plywood to be exactly the inside dimensions of the drawer. Perfect. Now I just need to cut some grooves in here for the grid. So I set up a 1/4 inch wide dado stack to a 1/16 inch high. I've got it set up to cut exactly down the center. And yes, I'm putting my push block right on top so that I get a full depth dado. So that's all the cuts for that direction. Now I need to turn this and make all the cuts going this way. I want to cut a bunch of 1/4 inch wide strips. And I've got these scraps from the CNC, so I can cut those right out of here. This is probably the only time you'll see me using a push stick. I don't see how anyone could believe that this is safe. This is the sketchiest tool I've used since I started woodworking. I'm about 10 times as comfortable using this. So now I can glue these strips into these dados, and then while that glue is drying, I can work on cutting a bunch of these shorter strips into these little pieces. So now I have all these strips that I need to cut up, so... Oh. I guess I can't use my crosscut sled, because I still need that dado stack. So in that case, I guess I'll have to use that. I don't think these even need to be clamped. If I just press them down into the glue, that's going to hold them good. Alright, the grid is done. Obviously, if you're doing this on a new drawer, you could just cut those grooves right into the bottom of the drawer. Next, I just need to modify all of the boxes to lock into that grid. I'm just adding a 20,000th shim to my blade. I think it works. You see how these have all shifted after closing it just once? So I did kind of freak out there at first when I put the empty boxes in and they wouldn't stay put. But now that they're filled with hardware, it's perfectly fine. So long as you close it with a decent amount of force. If you close it so hard you're breaking the front of the drawer off, then yeah, they're probably going to move. And I'm really glad I decided to put the grooves around the inside of these. I think they look really cool and makes it very easy to lift these out one-handed. And of course, nothing has shifted. There's still a spot to put this one back, so it worked. Thanks for watching.